Happy Friday. Hello, everyone. This is Angela Hooper-Menifield of Menifield and Associates, and I am here with your HR moment for Friday, December 18th, 2020. So first, let me just say that I hope everyone has had a great week. It's been a busy week, but definitely a good week. As you can see, I'm real casual today. This is, as I like to say, no makeup Friday. But for those of you who may be new to my videos, again, my name is Angela Hooper-Menifield of Menifield and Associates, and I typically host HR moments on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I do that as a way to share information about human resources, but also to, let's see, my name is not showing. Also as a way to engage and specifically try to help with training supervisors. So today's topic is about silence. And, you know, there's always a backstory, right, as to why the topic for the day. So let me share a little bit about it. So recently, I was in both a meeting and what I would consider a training-esque session. And while in the session, there was, you know, a lot of information being disseminated. You know, we're trying to grow and, you know, obtain this information. Well, the presenter or the person leading the meeting will say, immediately began to, you know, have these pauses where they would say, you know, so does anybody have any questions? And I kid you guys not, like within, as quickly as they said it, maybe within a breath, they had started talking again. And so as supervisors, and I've seen this a lot, and I've, you know, coached a lot of supervisors. I sometimes, as part of a coaching package, you know, will attend meetings with supervisors so that I can help them see what are some things that they can grow at. And so observing this procedure in the past, I've always found myself coming back to the person and said, you may not be aware of this, but there's not enough pausing or lack of talking in the meetings. And I think we have to be real cognizant of the fact that, number one, everybody doesn't process the same. There are some people, and I'm actually one of them, there are some people who are highly analytical. And so they want to think through their responses. Then there's some people are more outspoken. I mean, every meeting has the person who doesn't even listen to the comments, right? Because they're thinking about what they want to say next. Then you have people who are more methodical, more reserved, who really want to process and take it all in. And so if we as the supervisor, when we're holding our team meetings or having discussions or even training and imparting information, if we immediately ask a question or give a statement and then say we want feedback and we start talking, we have robbed those individuals of the space needed to give us the necessary feedback. So let's just talk about that for a minute. You know, there is space in silence. And so there are a ton of quotes, and I actually pulled up a couple of them to kind of just engage a little bit about silence, right? So there's a quote that says, silence is far more than the absence of noise. It can be full of whatever is not being said, whatever is rumbling around in the heart. That is why silence cannot be imposed or legislated from without. Neither can it be achieved by an act of will. And so often what you'll hear is silence is good because it gives us an opportunity to reflect. It gives us an opportunity to catch our breath. Often it gives us an opportunity not to overreact, right? Because often when we speak too abruptly, we are being more impulsive versus reflective. And I think whenever we're in a supervisory capacity and we're in a capacity where we're trying to, again, create an atmosphere of engagement, right? Like as supervisors, one of the things I hear often is the complaint that employees are not engaging or employees don't give me feedback, or we had a meeting about it and nobody ever said anything, right? Like, haven't you thought that, said that, or heard that? Well, my question then would be, are we making room and space for that? I had to ask myself this question, even as a parent. Like, there had been times when I was having discussions with my daughter and I would ask her a question, and if she didn't respond quick enough, I just, kept on my rants, right? I had to grow out of that. Now that I'm older and more reflective, I see a lot of things that I did. I was like, yeah, that really wasn't good parenting, right? I did the best that I knew to do in that season or in that moment of life, but it really wasn't a good practice. People need time. And my daughter is definitely more reflective. She's also more compassionate. So we have employees who are all, on all levels of the spectrum. And if we talk about DISC of all the styles, right? Or, Myers-Briggs, it really doesn't matter. And so silence can actually be good. In addition to silence being good in the sense that it gives us an opportunity to allow other people to speak, again, silence is good for thinking. And so as we think about our busy days at work, in the Developing the Leader Within You 2.0, one of the things that John Maxwell talks about is time in the margins, right? And he talks about that 20% of our day should really be spent, quote unquote, in the margins. And that's reflective thinking, not doing. Now, most of us don't do that, and I don't either. So I'm not pretending that I have this all together. But what I know is there are times in my day, especially if I'm going from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, I just need to woosah, right? And just reflect and think and be strategic and, evaluate. And so even if I'm not in a meeting, for me, silence can be a virtue, right? It can be something that's really good. And then, of course, silence can sometimes prevent us from making a decision too quickly, like creating the space. And so, I think it's important to be silent, in a multitude of things. And so I just say that to say, don't always interpret silence to mean somebody's upset. Sometimes silence could mean people are not ready to discuss or they are not in a space. So look at it this way. You send somebody an email at work, right? And you say, hey, John, I really need this data, or I have this question, or maybe it's about something serious, like, why did this happen? And of course, y'all know how I feel about why, as in we should not use it. But nonetheless, these are some of the emails we get, right? And as you're John, whomever receives this, maybe the silence or their lack of response is because, one, they need to gather their thoughts. Maybe they want to gather facts. So some of us, and again, I'm one of those people, I would rather be delayed than be wrong. So I would rather wait to give you a response until I've had an opportunity to analyze, investigate, as they say, get all my oars in a row, right? And so my perceived silence in this is not ignoring or brushing off. It is an active, engaged attempt, actually, to not only get you an answer, but get you the best answer. Now, what I had to learn to do, because this is how I operate, is give somebody feedback, as in acknowledge the request, and then give them a timeline of when I think I'm going to get back to them. Because again, while I've come to understand silence does not always mean something's wrong or somebody's mad or upset, I also realize that people, when they don't have accurate information or know why the silence is there, they create their own stories. And so a couple of things. I want to encourage you not to create your own story when there's silence, but I also want you to allow for silence to exist. So again, these videos are twofold, definitely targeted at supervisors, but they work for everybody. On the flip side, as an employee, and even if we're a supervisor, we're an employee in a different capacity, right? Maybe you ask for permission to do something. You ask to be able to take some training. Maybe you ask for a raise. Maybe you ask to, permission to travel to a conference, right? There are tons of things we ask, and we don't get the answer as quickly as we want. That silence could be somebody trying to figure out how to give you a yes. And so the worst thing that we could do is assume that silence means no, and then have that extra stuff that comes, forget it, never mind, I changed my mind. Well, I knew y'all wasn't gonna let me do it anyway. Like, I have seen people at work and in personal life jump to all kind of conclusions because they didn't get the response as quickly as they had hoped. And so I really want to encourage you to not read into things. I remember when I first started my business, right? And so I would meet someone at an event and they would say they was interested in some training or something. And then I would send a proposal about what I had suggested. And then they wouldn't respond, in my mind, at least timely. And I would run with stuff. Like, I would be like, oh, they didn't want it. My cost was too high. All this other negative thinking and other talk that had nothing to do with what was really happening. So again, I had to mature and grow in that. And we do the same thing again in our families. We do it with our friends. We do it at work. We do it with our employees. We do it with our supervisors. And so silence, again, is not necessarily a bad thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there and give you guys something to think about, because right now, for instance, and I've seen this a lot since people started working from home, people have a lot of things they're juggling at home. And we send these emails or these instant messages, and we're agitated if we don't get a response just like that. That's not reasonable. People don't live there. And we also know that when we're in meetings with people, we want their undivided attention, and we don't want them chatting and posting and texting. So why then would we expect them to do it differently when they're in a meeting with somebody else? And like I said, these are some of the common pain points I'm noticing with virtual management. And so again, supervisors, get real clear about, do you want people to be engaged and committed in the moment? Or do you want them answering messages and quote unquote multitasking? And I can tell you right now, that's how we end up sending the wrong message to the wrong person, typing the wrong name in the email, and making faux pas at work. So let's get, again, real clear about focus and understand that when people are focused, they're not paying attention to us because they shouldn't be. I've talked about this before, but one of my pet peeves in meetings is, especially now that we have Zoom, is that private chat thing, because it's a distraction. And some private chat, to tell me to do something, remind me to say something, but some people just talking about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the meeting. It's a distraction, and in my opinion, it's unprofessional, but I digress. So I'm about to leave you with that. We're about the 13-minute mark, and I try to keep these between 10 and 15 minutes. But again, as the supervisor, especially the meeting conductor, the person who is eliciting feedback, responses, thoughts, recommendations, please allow for silence. Get comfortable with it. Just sit there. And some of us call ourselves coaches. Oh yeah, I'm stepping on some toes now because some of y'all are probably watching, and I know you personally. I've been in meetings with you, and I wonder, when you're coaching your clients, do you let them ever do you just wait? Like, ask a question and just sit there. Right? Sometimes silence is good. People need a chance to think, and everybody doesn't think as quickly on their feet. Like I said, some of us are processors, some of us are visual, some of us are auditory, kinesthetic, contemplative. I know that I am. And I don't like to be rushed. And when we rush people who don't like to be rushed, we actually shut them down even more. And same thing when we ask questions and then we don't give people a chance to respond, they actually feel offended. And what often ends up being the case, in future sessions, they're not going to answer you because now you've trained them to believe you didn't really care what they thought anyway. So that's my 2 cents. I'm just throwing it out there. So again, my name is Angela Hooper-Menifield of Menifield and Associates and the Best Supervisor Academy and Symposium. We're about to launch membership for our next cohort of members into the Supervisory Academy. And I think it would be a great opportunity for you and your team to be certified supervisors. I also just remind you, we're on Amazon, the new Supervisors 30-Day Growth Journal. You can search under my name, Angela Hooper-Menifield, or you can also go to my website at supervisoracademy.com. But I really want to encourage you to grab your journal. Let's start 2021 focused with the mindset. And we even talk about stuff like this in a journal, like with prompts, and have you thinking too, how are you showing up as the supervisor and how you can do a better job of leading your team. Okay, we'll have a meeting I have to jump on. Yes, at 6, it started at 6. I'll be a few minutes late, but I wanted to just come and say hello to you guys. I'll be back Monday. And until then, everybody stay safe. Have a good weekend. If you're traveling over the next week or so, please be safe. Practice safe distancing. You know, we're going to have to quarantine when we come back, but at least stay safe. A lot of people I know personally have been coming down with COVID. More people than in March when this first started. Fortunately enough, nobody that I know real closely recently has it been catastrophic, but some grave sicknesses going into 2 and 3 weeks. I mean, every symptom as listed. So COVID is real and it has not decreased. Hospitals are at capacity in many places. And so we want to do our part. And I'm also an advocate for living your life, right? Safely. So if you go visit people, still social distance, wear a mask in the house. Why can't you? You wear a mask in the grocery store. Well, if you wear a mask, let me say that. But do it safely and do it out of love for the people that you're going to see, as well as those you're coming back to. That's my 2 cents. This is not a political statement. This is a health statement. I'm asthmatic and I care about my health. So that's that. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend and we will talk to you on Monday. Take care. Bye.